Allison Rosen. Allison Rosen is your new best friend. Allison, with her good times never end. Allison Rosen, doing the wavy pencil dance again. Allison Rosen, Allison's your new best friend.
Hey everyone, hi, hello, it is me, Allison Rosen. Welcome to another episode of Allison Rosen is Your New Best Friend. I am sitting here with the very impressive Sophia Amoruso. She is...
Oh, thank you.
I got to intro you so they can know all the impressive things about you. But first, I want to tell everyone, you danced during the theme song, Thank You. When people just sit there not feeling it,
I bounced in my chair. I was just like, conservative dance.
Right.
Chair.
But still, it's like the beat moved you, and I appreciate that.
It did. Yeah, it's fun.
Thank you very much. Jeff, why can't all guests have that attitude?
I want the clapping again.
Sometimes the rhythm is going to get you. Sometimes the rhythm is not going to get you. The rhythm got you.
It got me.
That's right. So, entrepreneur, founder of Nasty Gal, author of the New York Times bestseller Girlboss and the forthcoming Nasty Galaxy, which comes out in October, host of Girlboss Radio podcast, producer of the forthcoming Girlboss TV show on Netflix, and you were on the cover of Forbes for the Self-Made Woman issue, and they estimated your worth at $240 million.
That's all Forbes.
Richer than Beyonce. That's insane.
I guess. I don't know.
But I read something where you were saying that a figure like that, like it's not like you have 240 million. You didn't say this, but this is what I took from it. It's not like you have 240 million in your shoe or in your wallet. Like that's tied up.
No, it's like my company is valued at a certain amount, or Forbes estimates that my company is worth a certain amount, and I own over half of it. So that means that I must be worth that. And,
right.
I'm a homeowner, and I like my car and stuff, but I'm not like flying private. So
right. Have you ever flown private?
I have on other people's dimes, or just like hopping on, just like, sure, but only a few times.
Right. Okay. So there's so much to get into. Let's just start at the beginning.
Okay.
Born in San Diego.
Yeah.
Grew up Northern California.
Sacramento.
I know that you chose to be homeschooled at a certain point.
I did. My senior year of high school. I hated high school. I felt really out of place. I felt trapped. I felt like I was being trained for like a really boring life, and that a bell rang and I had to go do the same thing every day. I thought it was like soul crushing to do to like a young mind. And I learned by doing things. I don't learn by listening, and writing things down helps, but I just have to kind of interact and ask questions and wrap myself around things. It's a little excessive the way I learn, but that's just how I learn. And it just wasn't right for me. So yeah, homeschooled my senior year, moved out before I graduated into a closet in downtown Sacramento for $60 a month. It was so funny. I just had my mom on my podcast yesterday, and she was telling me about her story. And her in the 1970s, when she moved into her first place, she paid $80 a month. So I paid less than my mom did in the 70s for my first, it wasn't a place. It was literally like Harry Potter, but like Harry Potter's closet, but smaller. So yeah. And then like flailed a lot and, started Nasty Gals, an eBay store in late 2006.
Mm-hmm. So what was your childhood like?
I'm an only child. My parents weren't super happy together. They finally split up when I was 17, which is why I was like, peace. I was able to like move out, because when you're an only child, there's just way too much attention on you. And I was just like, please let me out of this unhappy household, please.
Was there a lot of fighting?
There's a lot of fighting, and they just didn't really agree on how to raise me or education, or it just wasn't right for a long time. And I think my mom was she was a product of like the 1950s, and grew up in like a religious household, and felt like her wifely duties were to like be unhappy kind of eternally. And then I don't know, there was like a breaking point, and in some ways I wish it had been sooner. I congratulated my mom when they divorced, and my dad's gotten like way cooler since then. He's cool now, and my mom's way happy and she's remarried. But
were you sad at all when they divorced? Like, was there any sort of feeling of loss?
No. The only thing that was sad was at a certain point that there was like no home to go back to. Like, we all moved out of the family home. And so there will never be like a place that I can return to. That's the only thing, but that's fine. I mean, I can make any place my home.
Right. So you moved out on your own were you 17?
17.
Looking back, do you feel like you were ready?
Yeah, very ready. And I totally flailed. It's not like I was like, an adult contributing to society, but I was certainly ready to go out and like learn the hard way and get out of the suburb and see that there was like non-corporate like entities in the world and experience like sushi or I mean, it was like Sacramento can be really homogenous. So I was just ready. So I moved to Olympia, Washington.
Sorry, I'm just pushing the microphone at you.
Yeah, I moved to Olympia, Washington, and that was, there's no more culture shock than like hanging out at the Evergreen State College and, dating a guy that lives in a treehouse. And
did you really date a guy who lived in a treehouse?
Mm-hmm. And he peed in a sink on a balcony that had a hose attached to it that went down and watered a fern below. There was like literally a tree in the middle of the house.
A visionary.
Yeah. I mean, I witnessed like hippies they were like vegan, but they were like freegan. So they found a deer on the side of the road and brought it back and were like, it's still warm. It's like sacrificed for us. They like strung it up and skinned it. And there was like some naked hippie lady with like its blood on her. And then they made like a venison stew. And I was exposed to a lot at a really young age.
Free aspect was more important than the vegan aspect.
It was like, yeah, like we're not creating supply and demand and we didn't kill anything. So it's okay.
Well, actually, I think I read that you said somewhere that initially you were very anti-capitalism.
I mean, I was hanging out with those kinds of people and I was reading anarchist texts and I thought that, money was like the root of all evil. And, I'm not saying money is like the best thing in the world either, but it's just a fact. Like we need to like have a house, have a roof over our heads and feed ourselves. And, so I rejected a lot, early on, only because I had the privilege to, it's like, and then realized like I don't want this lifestyle forever. So I just got, I got some crappy jobs and started, a legitimate, lifestyle at the very least. The first stuff I sold online long before eBay was like stuff I stole from like Barnes and Noble, or like I'd steal a stack of CDs from Starbucks, or I'd steal sheets from Bed Bath and Beyond. And
were you like a crazy kleptomaniac?
I was not a kleptomaniac. I just believed that corporations were like totally faceless, so that they were so large that no one would ever feel it if I like stole from them. But it's just at the end of the day, that's not how you build a life. And by breaking those rules, you're really putting yourself at risk and in the hands of, other people. And it's, and that can happen even if you don't break the rules, unfortunately, given what we're seeing happen in the world today. But,
so did you feel at the time that you were stealing stuff from faceless corporations, did you feel justified? Because it was like, did you feel like it was a righteous thing to do?
Yeah, I was like a snotty kid. I was like 18. Okay. So yeah, I think I did. And it was like thrilling, and I just wasn't ready to grow up or contribute. And I just felt like everything had been it was just like, here's the world now, good luck. And I had to kind of make my own world by rejecting it at first. And I appreciate the things that I have that I've earned now after having, I think, explored them by having rejected them. It's like I like to shave my legs, but I didn't for a really long time, and I do it for me, and I don't do it because someone told me to, So I had to reject a lot of things to eventually appreciate them, I think.
Oh, here's a question. This is like a sprawling question, so I'm going to ask it, and then if anything comes to mind, let me know.
Okay.
But you don't have to answer right away. Okay, you said that you like shaving your legs for you, not because someone told you to, but I'm wondering, is there anything that you used to do because people told you to, that either now you don't or now you do, but it's for you?
I mean, it's hard to know. Like, influence is such a fluid thing, you know? It's hard to know your motivation sometimes because things can come in from so many different, in so many different directions. So I could say that I was influenced to reject the things that I did as much as I was influenced to, accept the things that I have. That's a really hard question to ask, I guess. You can only do what feels right to you at the time and hope that you keep evolving and learning.
Right.
And put yourself in a position where you're empowered in your life and, you feel secure and are hopefully like building something. And I certainly learned the hard way that, being a thief was not building anything for anybody. And that's when I guess I started building something for myself.
Like, I guess I know that you got busted for shoplifting. I want to ask about that in a second. But like for me, I think I grew up thinking that you should be nice and agreeable and people pleasing and sort of defer to people who know better. And that is something that I have carried with me for a long time. And it's only, I would say, like in the last 3 months or something that that's an exaggeration, but I'm realizing just how much in certain situations that doesn't work because there are situations where you really need to look out for yourself because the people around you don't necessarily have your best interest at heart. And so this thing of always being like, she's so easy to get along with, isn't always the best. But I think that's a thing that I don't know if I was told to, but it's just like, it never occurred to me there's another way to be.
Yeah.
Because the other way to be is to be a bitch, and I don't want to be that.
It's like it's really like a fine line. And sometimes you go over the edge and you're too, selfish or defensive or skeptical of other people, and then there's other times where you just want to get something done. You're not gonna for me it's like I can swing both ways like pretty severely, I guess. And I just you just do your best and know that there's always going to be times where you might have gone overboard, but at the very least like you're protecting yourself. And and that comes with experience. That comes with, knowing that you could have done something better before and realizing like, hey, someone else got a better deal, or I didn't ask for enough. You don't get what you don't ask for. And there's nothing bitchy about that. That's just the way the world works. And I've gotten so much stuff just by like hassling people or, asking. And
I think that I had this idea that you get stuff by being nice and not asking for it. And so it's like this whole shift to realize that doesn't really work. I don't know if there ever was a time where, it works, but yeah, it does work. In certain situations it works, but I do think you're right that asking for what you want is probably a faster way to get there.
It is, and then there's places where, like I don't want to talk a lot about relationships, but in relationships, sometimes asking for what you want is like too much. And then sometimes you should wait and just be patient and like let things take their course. And, it's like, it's not so binary. I guess as like all the things are. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I guess it is kind of situational.
In business, it's a lot easier to, with friendships and relationships, it's really different.
Mm-hmm. Are you more comfortable in business than friendships, relationships?
I don't know. I think I'm a really good friend. I think I'm like formal, like in that way. I'm like, it's a birthday, I'm doing something. Like I love celebrating someone else's birthday because I think it's like super lame to have to throw yourself a party, even though I've done it, just like when you have an opportunity to celebrate other people, like I really try to do it. I don't know. I just think they're different. And I think, having had so much success in business, I definitely do have to watch myself and that the mechanisms that work in business aren't things that I try to apply to relationships because that's not how it works.
Like what?
I don't know. Just like how you get what you want, right? It's different when there's like a cut and dry, this is business. But in business, there's friendships. And I feel like I keep talking myself out of everything, every statement that I make, but it's true. Business is a lot more cut and dry. Friendships are fluid and require a lot more patience. It's, you don't just like cut friends out of your life, the way, if you're not actually working with somebody, you probably just don't talk to them,
Right. You don't declare friendship bankruptcy.
No.
Okay. So you got busted for shoplifting. How did that happen?
I pushed a whole shopping cart out of a Fred Meyer in Portland and got chased by a like plainclothes guy, who was like, excuse me. I don't know. Basically he made off with my purse and I was dumb enough to have my ID in it, but I got away. But he had my ID and I was just like, ugh, I'm not gonna, this is like how what's that word? This is like how, I guess take charge is not the word I was looking for, but I'm not going to wait for the cops to show up on my doorstep. Like I'm going to go back and present myself. And I went back in to the store and was like, hi, I need to talk to your loss prevention people. They know who I am. Cause this guy had my ID. So I just had to go like, kind of like turn myself in, and then they counted everything up, and I had like a basketball and a George Foreman grill and like shower curtain rings and tampons and really nice shampoo. And, yeah, that sucked. And then, I got arrested, and I don't know.
Did you end up going to jail or anything?
I actually didn't. They like arrested me on paper, but I have been to jail for other reasons.
Oh, what have you been to jail for?
I don't talk about it.
You don't?
No.
You talked about it a tiny bit.
It disappeared. I have like a guardian angel, or I'm just white. I'm not sure. It just disappeared. Like things just disappear.
All right, let me ask this. How did your jail time compare to Orange is the New Black? Because that's my frame of reference.
It seemed grosser. It seemed way grosser. There was like peanut butter on the ceiling. So people were like, they would like serve peanut butter sandwiches or something. And just out of spite, like people would just throw it at the ceiling. It would stick there and like rot and stink. And it was co-ed. So it was like, some guy through like a little window across the hall sticking his tongue out at me, just being like, I wasn't there for very long.
Were you scared?
No. I was disappointed with myself and took full responsibility. Do I get scared? Yeah, all the time.
What kind of things scare you?
Talking about jail on podcasts. It scares me. Change, the unknown, the future, chips cutting the top of my mouth.
What is the worst offender chip wise? I'm gonna say like a Mission tortilla chip.
Yeah, total tortilla chip. Yeah. Only tortilla chips.
Yeah, I was going to go with Doritos because they seem heavier than regular tortilla chips, and they never break, and they're super triangular.
They're like loaded with poison. So you like cut your mouth, and then it implants all that weird dust in your cut, and
like a poison dart.
Yeah,
chip.
Totally.
They're natural chip predators. That's how they stay alive in the wild with their poison. Okay, so got busted for shoplifting. And you started. Were you always into fashion?
I was into style. Like I always was kind of flamboyant and oddly dressed. There was like a normal phase where I really did try to fit in, but it just wasn't. I was such a weird personality and making poop jokes in like high school or whatever that I just didn't really vibe with like Abercrombie and Fitch. So, I was always really into style. I always loved thrifting from like a very early age. So I feel like I wound up in fashion accidentally, just through loving vintage clothing.
And so you started selling vintage finds, or just retro things on eBay.
I started selling vintage on eBay. I, opened up an eBay store and got, had a laptop and a digital camera and just gave it a shot and found some friends to model the clothes.
And it sounds like what you did that a lot of other people weren't doing, and perhaps part of your overwhelming success with this was you were making kind of a lifestyle out of it, and like really expertly, I'm not sure where you were at the time that this is what you're doing, but like expertly marketing it, like making very careful with the descriptions, and the photos were beautiful and very expertly styled by you.
The voice was always really specific, the style of the photography and the styling and the girl and her attitude and where she was going, and she looked like she could be your friend. And when you're buying something online, you have to be able to project yourself into this lifestyle and see yourself in the clothes and as approachable as you can be without being a clown. Like I wanted these girls to be. They weren't really stiff models who were, rail thin and unhappy.
You found them on MySpace mostly, right?
I found a lot of them on MySpace. They were just like, it was just like, do you want some pictures for your portfolio, or do you want some new MySpace pictures? And it was just exciting for them to model for this eBay store and have some pictures. And, a lot of them have gotten signed to agencies, since then. And, it was super rinky dink. I mean, it was just me and a camera in my step aunt's pool house. I think I paid $500 a month rent and did that for, a year and a half before I launched the website. And when I left eBay, the average auction price was like $150. And that was for stuff that I was buying for like $5, $10, $15. And so it was just pure cash flow, but there was no overhead. That changes when you hire people.
And what made you decide to leave eBay?
I felt like I had a brand and I was driving a lot of traffic to eBay from MySpace, which I just added like every person on MySpace and just built this huge following. So I felt like I was sending a lot of traffic to eBay, which is a place where, yes, there's a built-in audience, but at the same time, you can scroll to the bottom of any eBay listing and find like competing items. And it's like, you may also like from these sellers. And it's like, why would I send my customers to other people's stores? Also, it became a really catty environment. So it's like there's an eBay seller community, and vintage is just this thing where, you can get something from like the 80s and, a Golden Girls like Anorak and call it vintage, or you can get something that's really like a, museum piece. And there's women, I guess, and men who are real purists about vintage. And if I sold like a, polyester dress that I had hemmed, like, how dare I? It was like I was committing like a sin. And so they just like, they'd just like rag on me and other eBay sellers who were selling more trend driven items for not like, because they're like 1950s dirndl was just not moving. So that got annoying. And yeah, at the end of the day, it was just like time. It was time to launch the website. And, it was a time where there was no Squarespace. Like, it wasn't that easy to put an online store together. And I designed it in Photoshop and had someone slice up the PSD and, program it into a shopping cart. And it was a lot of work. But I was lucky that, my customers followed me from MySpace, and there was a little bit of press. I had no idea like what that was. I was just like, oh my God, Who What Wear talked about us today. We just launched. And I mean, I sold out the store the day it opened, and that was really exciting, but it was also just terrifying because when you have auctions on eBay, you have 10 days that they sit there and like accumulate bids. So you have 10 days where you don't have to ship anything. When you launch a website and something sells, you have to ship it. So the whole website sold out at the same time, totally unexpectedly. And then I had to like get more stuff on the site while I was shipping things, answering. It's such a ripple effect to not have that 10-day period. And it was a really big change.
At that point, were you like, this is what I'm going to do with my life. I'm an online retailer.
No. My mom was like, you need to go back to community college. No, I was just like, this is really cool. Like, maybe there's something here, but I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know what a CEO was. I didn't know what a cash flow was. I don't think the company, I don't even know if we were incorporated. I think I incorporated on LegalZoom, right around the time I launched the website. No, I mean, had someone else shown me the future, I might have, I still wouldn't have even believed them, but I'd never even gotten a glimpse of what the world looked like. My last job was in a lobby.
So what was your lobby job?
So we're just checking student IDs at an art school.
So at a certain point you moved down to LA because this is where LA was where you were going to buy the clothing, right?
Coming down here a lot to buy vintage, to cast models and fly them up. And now we're flying girls out from New York. But yeah, I was down in LA a lot. There's like a whole community of creatives here that's very different from the Bay Area. The Bay Area is really conservative. It's like Gap and Williams-Sonoma and Apple. So anyone who's doing like art direction or anything like that, it's just very clean and minimal and conservative. And Nasty Gal is quite the opposite. And it was just time to get out of the Bay Area. So I moved to LA about 5.5 years ago. And
at a certain point you opened up actual brick and mortar stores.
We did, yeah. Our first one opened almost 2 years ago.
And but also at a certain point you what is your role with the company now?
Yeah, so a year and a half ago, I was just the de facto CEO, president, whatever. I had every title at one point just by the sheer nature of having founded the company. Those aren't things that I'm attached to. I think if it wasn't my choice, I might have been like, I really want to be the CEO. But I was like, I had a ton of people reporting to me. My day was just in meetings about keeping people on track for their deliverables and not creative.
Like management.
Yeah, total management. And there's people that have a whole lifetime of that experience and leading people and communicating and all of that stuff. And I just was starting to, it was, the one time I was just not stretching to meet what I know the demand was. I've used the company as an opportunity to learn all the things I would have learned if I had finished college or had siblings and learned to share or whatever it is that like I haven't learned. I just was like, all right, this is what I need to be learning. And that was the one, it finally got to a point where I was like, okay, enough with like the martyrdom. Like, I don't want to do that job anymore. And so I found someone who's just amazing. She's our CEO. Her name's Sherry Watterson. She spent 5.5 years at Lululemon as their chief product officer. And so she's been our CEO for 1.5 years. And since then I guess I've done a bunch of stuff.
What's your involvement with Nasty Gal though at this point? I'm
in the office most days. It just depends if I'm traveling. There's just so much stuff that takes me like out of the office now, like what we're doing now. And, writing a book, I can really only focus on at home. And then there's a whole show shooting like in Hollywood and I'm executive producing that. And I do the podcast in our offices. So that keeps me there. But I'm mostly working with like bigger projects at the board level and then on like any marketing and creative initiatives. That's really where I play. That's where I spend most of my time at SEO.
So can you talk about the decision to open up the actual stores?
Yeah, I mean, the companies that have gotten really big online are companies that are competing on delivery. So they're like Amazon, Zappos, they're just selling everything under the sun and they're going to get it to you faster and cheaper than anybody else. And that was never our MO. And we don't want to have everything under the sun. We're a brand and we're focused and we're curated and there's a personality. So to be able to present that in a retail setting where our girl can interact with the salespeople and try things on and hear music while they're shopping and just experience the brand in real life was really important. It's also another growth channel. So our Melrose store is just amazing. We have one on the Promenade in Santa Monica as well. And it's just been a really great learning. And we don't have any more stores like planned at the moment, like to announce, but I think stores will be a really big part of our future.
And the book, Girlboss, what is a girl boss?
What's a girl boss? A girl boss is someone who's in charge of her life. So someone who, like I said earlier, is choosing her life instead of letting it choose her. I think there's a little bit of like serendipity that you do have to like ride in life, but I'm constantly asking myself, am I doing this because I was doing it yesterday? Am I doing it because I still want to? There's no better time in a relationship than when like the doorbell's like, ding dong, I chose to see you today, rather than like, here we are. You know what I mean?
Obligation,
yeah. And so I'm constantly like taking everything down to ground zero and being like, is this still what it was? And if it's not, do I still want it? Is this still right? Am I still learning things? Am I being challenged? And so, we have something on my podcast, Girlboss Radio, that's called Girlboss Moments. And it's just that time in your week where you felt like you owned your life. And for some people, that's drawing a bubble bath. And for other people, that's getting promoted or, finishing a homework assignment for school. It can be anything, but it's what you're proud of and what you're proud of for yourself, not because it's vain or because it's what you're supposed to be doing. Like you're really nurturing your life. And so I think if that's your MO, you're a girl boss. And that's, it's a lot, it lives in like the inspirational space a lot more than like the political or dogmatic. Like I can't tell you exactly what a girl boss is because it's something we all have to define for ourselves.
What are some girl boss moments that stand out to you, for you?
Wow. I mean, there's like a listener who got their PhD.
Oh, no, I mean yours.
Oh, mine.
Yeah.
Okay. Gosh. Oh, gosh. I mean, the cover of Forbes is bonkers. I mean, the first one is making your parents proud. I think the second one is buying my own car, you know. Another one is being able to be generous with friends and like take a friend on a trip or just be generous, entertain, buy the oysters, right? That is like so awesome to be able to do. Girl boss moments. I mean, I think anytime I hear from someone that, I mean, my just storytelling, you know, that like I'm able to share other people's stories through my podcast as you do with yours, that make other people feel more capable in the world just by storytelling. And then they thank you. It's like, I didn't do anything. You did everything in your life. But to be like a spark in the corner that like fires off something that totally already exists in somebody is so rewarding. I mean, that's really kind of, that's why I enjoy, you know, what I do. But I would say, you know, becoming an author or, and sometimes just like keeping your sanity or dropping out, you know, and taking time for yourself. I mean, and yeah, in many ways, anything can be a girl boss moment. It's like, it's slightly selfish.
Let's talk about keeping your sanity for a moment. Two-part question. What kinds of things do you do to keep your sanity, A, and B, and you can answer these in any order. When you feel like you are losing your sanity, what happens? Like, do you get depressed? Do you get manic? Do you, what do you tend to do?
To keep my sanity, I exercise. I don't drink too much. I discovered mezcal recently, and there's like no hangover and it doesn't like have a bunch of calories in it and it's just like magic. But I
don't even know what mezcal is.
It's like tequila, but smokier. It's like the same plant.
And it has no calories?
Not really. Wow. I mean, I'm such a wino, but I have had to stop because it's just like my face blows up and I'm hungover after like 2 glasses. And so I think like limiting my alcohol consumption, exercise, surrounding myself with the friends who really know me, and hanging out with my dogs, you know, nurturing like your life, watering the plant. That's your life. And that isn't just work. That is like all of those things. I don't know if I completely believe in balance, but I do think that we have to take time for our lives outside of work, which is something that took me a really long time to learn.
Well, especially because I would imagine, and tell me if I'm right, your work is kind of like addictive because like your success is like, I would imagine like an eBay auction, like, oh my God,
tweak out. Yeah.
Yes, that's what I'm saying.
Totally tweak out.
So I would imagine it'd be easy to like ignore everything and just dive into the work.
It's with anything, especially anything digital. You know, it's like you can respond to every tweet or you don't, and you have a life, and you're like, you know, if you did respond to every tweet, you'd have a totally, you know, you're marketing yourself. Like the internet never sleeps, so it's a really dangerous thing. And then regardless of the internet, when you have like enough projects going on, like just nothing sleeps.
Right.
So yeah, sleep. I guess that's another one is just, I need 8 hours. If I get 7, I feel pretty different. So I try to sleep 8 hours. I mean, those are the big ones. They're pretty like normal. You know, it's like if I had an online dating profile, it would be the most boring one. It's like, I like exercise.
When you...
Sunlight.
When you feel like you need to put more time into sanity, like what is it that you're feeling that makes you realize like, oh, I'm neglecting things?
I'll wake up hungover or I will just stop. I won't be fulfilling obligations. I really like to fulfill my obligations. I like to keep my promises. Is that your question?
Well, do you get depressed? Do you get anxious?
I do. So I usually just kind of like ask friends for advice a lot. I just kind of like spray, you know, questions in every direction and see what comes back. And sometimes, you know, I think as an only child, you know, there's some amount of like external kind of like you have to bounce things off. You know, it's like I've developed this internal, you know, I don't know what the word is, judge, but I also just like, I love seeking advice and I'm never too proud to like ask a question.
That's interesting. Do you trust yourself more than other people though? Like, because I would think as an entrepreneur, you would even if you're getting advice and input from a bunch of people, you would have to know which voices to filter out.
Totally. I mean, it really depends. In general, do I trust myself more than other people? Yeah. I mean, in business, it depends on what it is. There's people that have way more experience than me, and the learning curve is just way too steep for me to even begin to like walk up it. So you have to operate on limited information, and you just do your best, choosing people who have more experience than you, and try to hold them accountable. But that's really challenging.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about the TV show.
Okay.
Tell me about it.
Okay. So I wrote this book called Girlboss 2 years ago. It was a New York Times bestseller. And then Charlize Theron got a hold of it and was like, let's make a show on Netflix, or let's just make a show. We took it to Netflix, but we took Kay Cannon with us, who's the creator and the showrunner, who wrote Pitch Perfect and Pitch Perfect 2 and wrote on 30 Rock forever. And she's amazing. And so it's just this group of awesome women that have come together to put this show together, and they cast Britt Robertson as me. So it's like it's a scripted comedy. It's a 30-minute scripted comedy
about your life,
about my life. That's set in 2006 in San Francisco. They're up shooting it in San Francisco right now, and it's really funny. And I can't wait to watch it. It'll be on Netflix sometime in 2017. But yeah, it's pretty trippy.
That must be surreal.
It's totally surreal. It's something you don't say no to. You're like, yeah. Yeah, I get one life. Like, if you want to make a joke out of mine, like, I'm all for it. Like, it's already funny.
Mm-hmm. How involved are you?
I'm an executive producer. And I'm not like a writing executive producer. I'm consulting on everything from wardrobe to locations and the authenticity of the dive bar that they choose. And
and are you trying to make it as close to your life as possible? Because I would imagine, like, if it were me, I think I would be tempted to be like, oh no, I didn't say it exactly like that. Yeah,
I thought it would be like that, but I feel like I've worked on teams enough to know now that it's just like there's like a certain point where you have to let go.
Right.
And it's a comedy. It's not a drama. I'm not a murderer. Nothing like insane is going to happen. I might be more whiny on the show than I am in real life. I don't know. But you just kind of have to ride with that stuff. It's funny. And if people don't know how to disaggregate reality from like, an adaptation of something, then that's fine. It's just makes more interesting, like, shit for me to weed through. I have no idea what it's going to be like once this show comes out. But I do think it's going to be pretty funny.
And pardon me if you did say this, when does it premiere?
Probably mid next year is my guess.
Okay.
I don't know exactly.
I wanted to ask you, I think it was in your book that you said that you don't really listen to no. If someone says no.
Well, yeah, no. I think no is, I'm not like a rapist or anything. It depends on the situation. But in general, in business, if someone says no, I'm like, awesome, bring it on. Like, now I need to go reassess and like reverse engineer or figure out how to appeal to what it is that they need, or shift what I'm doing so that becomes a yes. Or maybe I didn't want it, so thank you for saying no. Maybe that is okay, but I rejected it. Eventually, of course, there are no's and you move on. But I always want to know that I've exhausted everything I possibly can before I give up on something.
Yeah, I guess what I'm wondering is, how do you... I think the specific story you were talking about was approaching... I wish I could remember which brand it was, to see if they wanted to partner
Jeffrey
with
Campbell shoes.
Yes. And they said no. And then you were like, and then convinced them.
No way. Like, this can't be, like, this is too good to be true. We are made to be together. Let me show you like this little write up on Nylon magazine, or let me show you the website. Look, it's cool. And I can make you cooler. I'm not really a salesperson, but when you want something bad enough, like, sometimes that just switches on.
Right.
If you believe in something.
Yeah, I guess that's what I'm wondering, is how, in the face of rejection, have you always been able to maintain that belief in yourself? Because I, and like a fair amount of people I've interviewed, occasionally have just imposter syndrome, where it's like, if someone says no, it's like, okay, I guess I'm not good then.
You still do have imposter syndrome. You just like keep going. Your survival depends on it. Your growth depends on it. Your future depends on it. your legacy depends on it. Like that's what's at stake. It's never the one thing. It's that you can look back and say, I did everything that I could.
Right. Oh, that's so interesting. Have you always felt that way?
I don't know. That just sounded really good, but I don't think I've ever thought that before. So, I think so. Maybe.
I mean, have you ever gotten to know where your instinct is to just kind of like curl into a ball and be like, okay, but you have to push through it? Or are you always...
If Vogue magazine is like, no, like I'm not going to call Anna Wintour, it's just like, there's things you don't do. So it's not like I ignore every no.
So it sounds like the only no's it sounds like if you get a no and you're like, but that's the wrong answer, then you'll...
Maybe I wasn't charming enough. I don't know. Yeah.
You have an interesting view of success and failure.
Yeah.
In that failure is a part of success.
I mean, I think success is just being proud of whatever it is that you've created. Because I've created things that I've done things that I'm not proud of, but other people are proud of. Is that success? Like, that was not my goal,
Like what?
But I mean, I'm proud of all the things that have happened, but do I wake up like thinking I was on the cover of Forbes magazine and thus I am like a different person than I was before I was on the cover of Forbes magazine? No. If anything, it just like makes noise culturally for me and like socially. And it's a huge moment, and I have responsibility to other women and, for female entrepreneurs. And don't get me wrong, but, I don't really like toot my own horn about it. I think you just have to focus on who you are and what you think is great about you. For me, I think it's like I can armpit fart or like whatever. It's not the things that like the rest of the world thinks about you. If there is a world looking at you,
just have to take one moment to say to Jeff,
armpit fart.
Actually, yes. But how crazy is it that this is the second time armpit farts have come up like in a matter of, oh my God! And this is now the second time people have fake farted on this show.
Like recently?
Yeah, because we had Dave Coulier from Full House.
I listened to
and Fuller House.
Oh, did he? Wow.
Yeah,
I didn't hear the whole thing. But.
He's
a celebrity
quite a
fart.
virtuoso.
I love that I have something in common with that guy.
Yep.
What if this is the new thing on the show? I so want it to be.
Okay.
I wouldn't say no.
Do I get a clap? Wow. The crowd goes wild.
I was listening to your Girlboss radio episode with the woman who created Poopery.
Oh, yeah.
And you're talking about how into like fart jokes and things you are. And I am too. And
really?
Poop jokes. Yeah.
Cool.
I have like a 7th grade boy.
I feel like there's not very many girls or anyone, just period. I think they're like, you're like,
right.
I feel bad for you.
It's come
People
on.
Just don't relate.
You can't laugh at that. Come on.
I mean, I don't like
just funny.
I don't like go poop and then look at the toilet and laugh. But if somebody makes a fart noise, I have a trick on photo shoots. If I want a genuine, you can't get a genuine smile out of me. It's just like, I don't like wake up and walk around the world smiling. I really wish I was that person. So if you want like my eyes to light up and you want like a smile that I can like hold for like 5 minutes, someone on the photo shoot has to like, like they have to. And exactly, see, your eyes are lit up and you just hold it. You just hold it and you're like, yeah, I'm really, this is me. And no one ever knows.
Yeah. It's come up on the show before, people who think that couples should never fart in front of each other.
I kind of agree,
really?
but I've farted in every relationship. I've pooped with doors open. Like it's a slippery slope to becoming bros, and that's happened to me. So I mean, I don't have any rules. Everybody farts, but I try not to like be gratuitous about it or like show offy, which I could totally do.
Clearly. And you should be proud of it.
Thank you. I just farted with 2 different parts of my body on this podcast.
Show offy, like, because like my husband, I don't think he'd appreciate this, but I don't care. He'll sometimes like stand up and then like do this like arm gesture and like stick the landing.
Wow.
Like, that kind of show off, you mean?
Yeah, totally.
Okay.
Yeah.
Or just like a raising a cheek.
Sounds like show off. Yeah. Anything. Just like looking at the other person and like being like, shh. And then doing, it's like, doesn't matter. Yeah. I mean, almost all farting is showing off at a certain point. Otherwise, you're embarrassed. Like, I don't know.
True.
There's no real middle ground.
That's true.
You got to own it.
Yeah. If my farts are audible, I begin giggling to the point where like I can barely breathe. But I think it is born of embarrassment, but also just being super entertained.
Oh my God. That wasn't me. I think the worst thing is like when you're jumping rope. Like I'll be like with my trainer and be like hop, hop, hop. And I'll be like, ooh, I don't want to. And then I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever.
I have mentioned this story before, but when I was in like 3rd grade, we were doing gymnastics in school and I was just not good at it. So my mom like got me a gymnastics lesson, just a little extra gymnastics tutoring. And it was just this guy at the local high school. And I was not a particularly flatulent kid, entertained by farts, but it wasn't like I had a real fart problem or anything. But on this day, every time I did a somersault or a back bend or anything, it was like... just constant
funny. There's like days like that.
Teenage boy with his face pretty near my butt. I was awful.
Oh my God.
But
have you ever heard anyone fart in yoga? Do you ever go to yoga? I've heard
only
some yoga
gone
farts
once, and I haven't. And I don't think I heard anything.
People are like so zen, and then they just like own it. They're just like.
How do you not laugh?
I do.
Okay.
Just like I snicker through my nose. Like.
One time, I was talking to a professor in college, and she was telling me about some assignment. It was after class. And she just was like, oh, excuse me. And then kept going.
Oh, my God.
All my friends in college know this story because they knew her. It was like white noise after that moment because I was just trying not to laugh. She was she was like, she had like evolved. Her PhD allowed her to evolve beyond thinking farts are anything other than purely natural. She was also like a very crunchy woman anyway.
Oh, wow.
It was total just,
oh my God.
Excuse me. As if she had like a little throat noise happened or something, but it was a butt noise.
Yeah. I think blowing your nose in public is just about as gross as farting. Honestly, you're like violently expelling something from your face in public. And I'm not even like squeamish.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it is about nose blowing in restaurants, especially. I'm just
That's pretty gross. Because there's like, you can hear it all happening. And also, I feel like if you try to do the demure public nose blow, that doesn't take care of whatever situation made you need to blow your nose.
You're still sick. Go home.
Yeah. All right. Let's do... Jeff has an array of disgusting sounds. And the listeners always let us know when he plays them. Let's do just me or everyone. But first...
Sometimes I ponder on something I have thought or done. Is it just me or everyone?
You're really finding the line of when you think I'm gonna pause and when I'm waiting for a pause.
I know. I'm sorry. That was on me.
I didn't dance.
You hopped a little.
A little bit.
First, I want to say I will be doing my podcast at the LA Podcast Festival, September 24th at noon. So lapodfest.com is where you go for tickets. Let's say you can't be there in person. Don't even worry because you can get a ticket to the live stream and you can stream the entire festival from the comfort of your own home, wherever that might be. You don't even have to be home. You could be in line somewhere, streaming the festival. How fun. Again, go to lapodfest.com for live stream tickets as well and use the promo code ROSEN and you will get a discount. Also, I am on Patreon. Patreon is a place you can go to support artists on a monthly recurring basis. All sorts of great rewards and bonuses. Patreon.com/AllisonRosen. There are different tiers and there's bonus episodes. No question off limits. Bonus episodes where I speak very candidly and openly about stuff. Also, there's an exclusive live stream. All sorts of fun stuff. Patreon.com/AllisonRosen. Hey, if you're going to buy something on Amazon, which you are, they have everything. Click through the banner on my website, AllisonRosen.com. Doesn't cost you anything extra and it helps out the show. I want to thank you guys for all the Amazon support. And if you like what you're hearing, subscribe. iTunes.com/AllisonRosen. Also, I want to talk to you guys about Blue Apron. I don't know if you're familiar with them or not, but Blue Apron, so delicious, so convenient, such a time saver. Blue Apron sends you everything you need in a box to make a delicious, healthy, gourmet meal. all the ingredients are perfectly proportioned already, so you don't have to do that thing where you look up a recipe and you go to the store and you buy too much of this or not enough of that, and then you have leftover chervil, let's say. And I don't even know what that is, but it's a thing. So what I'm saying is Blue Apron takes all the guesswork out of cooking, and the meals are so good, and they're really fun to make too. And let's not forget, less than $10 per meal. So that's it's quite a selling point. So for less than $10 per meal, Blue Apron delivers seasonal recipes along with pre-portioned ingredients to make delicious home-cooked meals, whether it's Japanese ramen noodles, wild-caught Alaskan salmon, or heirloom tomatoes. Blue Apron is bringing you the best. Check out this week's menu and get your first 3 meals free with free shipping by going to blueapron.com/Allison. You will love how good it feels and tastes to create incredible home-cooked meals with Blue Apron, so don't wait. That's blueapron.com/Allison, blueapron.com/Allison. And if you guys do go there and you make, and I think I forgot to mention one of my favorite parts of Blue Apron. Every time you get a box of ingredients, of course, you also get this great like heavy cardstock recipe card, which you'll want to keep and save. And there's all these pictures of every step along the way when you make the meal. So whether you're a really accomplished chef or just an amateur in the kitchen, they make it very easy. So if you make something on Blue Apron, send me a photo because I'm into that. Okay, so Just Me or Everyone is where people write in with things they think or do, and they wonder, is it just me or everyone? And we say whether we also do them. Jennifer Sixt says, the only effective alarm clock is several glasses of water before bed. Well, if I drink a lot before bed, I will be getting up, but it won't be in the morning. It'll be like half an hour later.
Yeah, that is like an alarm clock that you cannot control.
Yes.
That's just you.
Yeah. I think it might be just you. But maybe she's just saying that her alarm clocks don't work. Mine... Do you have the... I have this thing where
Sounds
if there's...
like she lives in a tent.
If I'm worried about whatever it is that I have to get up for, I probably won't even need the alarm to get me up because I will be constantly waking up afraid I'm sleeping through my alarm.
Yeah, I never sleep well when I know there's an alarm that's
at like
getting me up.
5:45
yeah,
a.m.
at a
or
crazy
something.
hour.
Yeah,
I
it's
just
like
don't
the
sleep.
stress of like the impending like noise that's about to come, and you're like, I only have an hour. F it. I'm just gonna like stare at my phone until I drop it on my face.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Night Cloud says, a limp handshake bothers me, and that's about the only manly attribute I have. So I'm assuming his manly attribute is a firm handshake. I don't think anyone appreciates a limp handshake.
Nope. And if they do, they don't count.
Yep. Okay, there you go.
Everyone that counts.
It's been decided. J-Mos for A-Rose says, after going to bed with a cold, first thought every morning is I'm still stuffy until one day, holy crap, it's gone. It is weird. We were talking about binary things earlier. Colds are pretty binary. Like either you have one or you don't.
Just like the most boring. I'm sorry. I think I'm allowed to insult your listeners, but
I'm not.
I know you're not. What? I don't know. I don't even think about that. You must have a lot of colds.
Well, I think Just Me or Everyone encourages people to think about things they don't normally think about.
Yeah. Yeah. No, sometimes colds actually kind of dissipate, right? You like get worse at night and then...
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I used to be the on-off cold guy. It would be nothing, then I was knocked on my feet for 2 days, and then I was fine. And now it's like I get sick in slow motion now. It's
totally.
Like, it's crazy. It takes 2 weeks, and every day I wake up and I go, am I sick? Am I not? And then...
I mean, a glass of wine can make me think I'm getting sick. Yeah. I mean, at this point, like adulthood.
Pregnancy makes you very runny. And someone actually just wrote in to say it's the extra estrogen. I don't know. I guess, because my head is full of snot. I don't know why I'm looking at you.
She wants confirmation.
I don't know.
What's it like?
Dana says...
That's never happened to me. I can say that.
Dana says, use my flat iron to iron my clothes. It's already hot, and I'm not even sure I own a clothes iron. I've never even thought of that. Does that work? Have you ever done that?
How is that something that everyone could have in common or not? But... I've never done that. I've used an iron to iron my hair, but I've never used a flat iron to iron my clothes. I feel like you could only maybe do your sleeve.
Yeah, right. Because how could you get it?
You must be tiny.
Right. You could use it for doll clothes.
Are you a paper doll?
How did the ironing of your head hair go? I know that's how they used to straighten hair in the old days.
Yeah, it's just like I was like a little kid. I don't know. It kind of might have smelled sometimes. I think you get like a line across the top. You can't get it that close to your scalp.
Right. Okay. Flash Dabbles says, this is apropos of our conversation about disgusting silverfish the other day.
They're everywhere.
They are.
Right now, they're everywhere.
Yeah. House centipedes gross me out way more than silverfish. Look them up. They make me want to light my own house on fire. I think this is regional because I did not have silverfish when I lived in Brooklyn, but I did have these. I thought I don't know if they're house centipedes or millipedes. I know a friend of mine was like, it's like an eyebrow running across your wall.
That's cute.
Do you know what we're
that
talking
makes them
about?
Sound cute. Yeah, they're all over my house right now.
Oh, really? So they do have them out
This
here.
year's totally different. I feel like, I mean, I'm in the hills and they're like running wild in my home.
So they are talking about the bugs that do look like an eyebrow scurrying across
Yes,
your wall.
they're
disgusting.
everywhere.
They're like hairy and feathery.
But you're definitely alone in wanting to burn your own house down. I'm sorry.
Okay, J-Mos for A-Rose says, can't wait for a package to arrive. Once it shows up, leave the box unopened until I need what's inside. Yeah, I'm terrible. I mean, there's like a mountain of boxes here. I'm terrible about opening boxes. I don't know why.
That's fair. You open it up and you're like, I got something. And then you're like, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Johnny Pomato says, keep a spare pillow at the foot of the bed in case I need emergency cool side of the pillow in the middle of the night. Daniel does this. It's to the side of the bed. I don't do this.
That's like really strategic. I'm lucky if my head gets near a pillow. I'm just like all over the place.
Are you a messy sleeper?
I think I might be.
Like
pooping. Just kidding. Just kidding.
Do you wake up in a tangle of sheets and stuff?
I do, and my neck's sideways, and I don't really understand.
Yeah.
I never learned how to sleep.
And lastly, Johnny Pomato says, sometimes prefer pretzels, chips, and popcorn to be ever so slightly stale. Yeah, I can see that. There's certain items. Popcorn, no. I don't think stale popcorn
If
is
you're
what you
trying
want.
to drown out the noise of everyday life, that might work. But otherwise,
no.
you're alone.
Yeah. Well, Sophia, it was so much fun having you on the show.
Thank you for having me.
What did we miss? Well, Nasty Galaxy coming out in October.
Galaxy is out October 4th. You can order it on Amazon. Or
What's it like? It's linen, right?
It's pretty. It's 10 by 10. It's like a coffee table book. It's really beautiful. Lots of colors and lots of photos and illustrations. It's very colorful. Everything from how-tos to essays to interviews with different women who I consider girl bosses. Courtney Love wrote the foreword.
Oh, that's cool.
It's super pretty. And then you can find me at girlboss.com or on Girlboss Radio.
Something that I liked that I saw in your book, I think it was your book, that you were saying don't have idols, don't have heroes, which that sort of appealed to me because I'm someone, when someone says, who is your hero? I'm always like, ugh, I don't know. I'm sure that I appreciate people though, but I have trouble answering that question.
It's a hard question. Most people have it down and ready to go. I'm just like, I definitely think other people, I admire people for the things that they're doing, but I don't know anybody well enough to say that I would worship them or they would be my hero. I know that everybody's kind of screwed up a little bit at the end of the day. And, you can take bits and pieces, but there's nothing or no one I'd ever want to be but me. Oh my God.
That's a pretty good place to be. Happy to be you.
You have no other choice. That's it.
It's true.
That's all. That's all there is.
You guys, follow me on Twitter at Allison Rosen. Follow the show's Twitter feed at ARIYNBF. Jeff, where should we go for you?
You can find me on Facebook and Twitter at Colonel Jeff Fox.
Okay, Sophia, let them know where to find you and plug everything that you want them to look out for. Well, you can find Nasty Gal at nastygal.com. You can find the book at nastygal.com/book. My first one's called Girlboss. It's everywhere. And then you can find me, my podcast, Girlboss Radio, in iTunes or anywhere podcasts are found. Okay. And Girlboss, the TV show, next year. Next year on Netflix. You'll see it. And then, God, I don't know. I can't keep track. I'm Sophia Amoruso, AMORUSO, pretty much on all social media. So. Awesome. Thank you so much for doing the show. This was fun. Listeners, thank you for listening. I love you. Goodbye. Hey, do you know about the Allison Rosen Show?